watching Morning at NTV.
Well, thank you so much for joining us yet again for Morning at NTV. It's time to take notes, so you better have your pen and paper because the conversation for this morning is quite very interesting. What vocational studies add to the educational curriculum? And speaking of which, you do have education and training that has been dependable and a means of transforming communities out of poverty and deprivation. And in 1989, the NRM instituted the Education Policy Review Commission to review the country's education policy, which initiative actually resulted into the government's white paper in 1992. Of course, the blueprint of Uganda's current education policy, and this stretched the teaching of vocational education subjects in the country's secondary schools particularly. And until now, the TVET has been struggling to fit into the current education curriculum. Of recent, a proposal to add these trainings into the curriculum was remade, and today we are having Mr. Patrick Byakatonda, who's the Director for Directorate of Industrial Training, to give us details into the value of having vocational education added to the current educational curriculum and what it means for Uganda in terms of labor and the market president. Good morning to you, Mr. Byakatonda.
Morning.
Now, I'll start by inquiring into your education. When you were still a student in secondary school, did you have vocational studies attached to your education?
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. During my school time, we had the vocational subjects. When you go to schools like Kako SS, where I taught, woodwork, I was there, metalwork, technical drawing, agriculture. But those subjects, one, they were taken by few candidates, but also, number two, they were not being recognized. Other part of vocational, we have physical education. We have performing arts. Those are also what? Vocational subjects. But those subjects were also not being what? Examined. Actually, students could drop them. Even parents could say, why are you playing football? Why are you singing? Where will it take you? So that is what happened. As you said already, the Education Review Commission recommended vocationalizing education system, especially the secondary education system. Now, it has been a long journey, but now the curriculum is in place. The lower secondary curriculum was developed by NCDC with consultation with so many stakeholders, including the world of work. And the world of work plus university professors. The university professors, if you take an example of Professor Kavasa, they recommended industrial skilling. Why? Because there is a lot of dropout rate. When they start
through the direct education system.
Education system. By the time they start P1, they are 1.8 million. When they sit P7, they are around 700. But now
700,000.
700,000. Now it is around 800,000 who registered. So already almost 1 million has dropped out of that cycle. Now, when you compare those who sit P7 and the ones who finish senior study, I mean senior 4, by senior 4, they sit around 300,000. So where has the 400 gone? They have disappeared. Are they certified? Are they recognized? So the new curriculum now, by senior 3, if you have any vocational subjects, performing arts, agriculture, those technology, whatever subjects, name it, entrepreneurship, ICT, senior 3, you sit for Directorate of Industrial Training, because the theme of the curriculum is to prepare a learner for employment.
Okay. All right. Well, if you prepare them for employment when they're still under 18, are you not going against the laws?
The laws...
Because then you have propelled this child to a might as well throw out senior 4 and decide to get into the job market.
The countries which have developed We are not against the law, but you have to pay. Where do they go? Because we have consulted all the laws. There is even the child what? The Child Act, the child policy in Uganda, ILO. Because remember, DIT is came from Minister of Labour. Now, is under 18, but does under 18 prevent ICT? Does under 18 prevent children from singing? Does under 18 prevent
but it propels them to actually consider getting into singing or getting into technology or getting into agriculture or getting into home economics on a commercial level before they are of the age of 18.
And that is why...
where's the streamline in that?
That is why they are called pre-vocational.
Introductory.
In other words, it is preparing you for the world of what? Of
Labor.
work. Some of them, actually in villages, they are above 18. Some of them, they are still below 18. But when they reach vocation, they will reach the age of what? 18, and they will have skills. And when you do research in ICT, the ones who developed, is it those packages or WhatsApp and what? They were children. The Twitter and all of them. They started as what? As children. But even in developed countries, they teach their children vocational what? Skills.
Okay. All right. Mr. Byakatonda, then it begs the question, already the secondary student has about 16 subjects. They carry 16 books on their back. And then if you top it up with vocational studies, are we not stretching the capabilities of how much this child should be taking in at the end of the day? So how do you intend to strike a balance between these many vocational studies and these many direct education on their curriculum? From
senior 1 up to senior 2. Physical education is compulsory for all learners. Entrepreneurship is also what? Compulsory. I think they also do ICT. So, and those ones vocational, they're vocational. Now, then in addition, a child now in the new curriculum studies from 8 up to around, I think, 2:30. Then he or she has the entire evening to do the DIT work, the vocational. So, and the vocation is a core. He's not forcing somebody. Vocational from the Latin word vocar. Vocar is a core. Kuitibwa. So you might do medicine when your core is in playing drama. You have seen those ones.
Yes.
You can do engineering when your core is in agriculture. You are the best agriculture. So here we are taking vocation as a core, as an interest. You don't force a child. He might carry all those books when his interest or her interest is elsewhere.
Okay. All right. So this call has been made in the past, particularly back in 2018. We saw this call being brought to table and was not implemented then. So we do have about 4 years we're talking about, and implementation has failed to come through. What are the hindrances?
The hindrances, one, we had COVID, which affected the school system. Then, of course, curriculum is consultation. I think initially some people did not perceive it very well, but eventually they came on board, they understood the curriculum, they understood the theme of the curriculum. As I told you, the theme of the curriculum is to prepare a secondary school graduate for the world of work. That is the major theme, the entire theme.
Okay, all right. And this also brings into the question, there's, of course, for public education, it would easily be implemented. But then there's private education that really never goes by such things. You will have people who have gone through, myself, have gone through traditional schools, and the subjects that you've talked about, we engaged in them: agriculture, home economics. It was PE was part of, you know, the dailies that we used to do in my school. However, in a private school, that's not the case. They don't even have consideration for sports. The only time they consider sports is when they're having quote-unquote sports gala. And so when, and how do you expect the private end of education to actually adopt and adhere to the inclusion of vocational studies into the curriculum?
Actually, for DIT, the schools which have registered mainly, majority are the private ones. Because for the private secondary school, the curriculum has changed now. Not only just passing exams, but also looking for alternative for employment. Now, any secondary school which prepares a learner for employment, then it will have more students.
Okay, all right. So what are the subjects that are going to be included so far in this secondary school vocational education?
I cannot say they are subjects.
But
DIT,
what should we call them?
They are jobs. For DIT,
Okay.
it is occupational based.
Okay.
What do you want to become? If I do agriculture, what do I want to become? I want to become a fish farmer, so DIT assesses you as a fish what? Farmer. Poultry farmer, piggery farmer. And when you relate those ones, they relate to the parish model. The ones in agriculture, they relate very well. With the parish model, with the myoga, those kind, they are specialization. Then if you do physics, what do you want to become? That is what DIT asks you. I want to become a domestic electrician. Now, a physics teacher should have knowledge of domestic electrician. So DIT assesses you as domestic electrician. If I do home economics, what do I want to become? I want to become, what does the industry need? The industry needs a cook, or the industry needs a what? A baker. So that is what DIT satisfies in. So for a candidate, you choose only one occupation. In the entire one, you don't choose many. Only one where your interest is. And then you are assessed and you are certified. You become a professional, and DIT is ISO certified.
Okay. So under the Ministry of Labour, how does such an initiative with vocational studies actually add value and develop the country?
Labour, Ministry of Labour, you know, originally that is where DIT was before it transferred to Ministry of what? Of Education. Now, Ministry of Labour, actually we are working hand in hand with it. We assess apprenticeship, which is by Ministry of Labour. Apprenticeship means people who have learned on the what? On the job. They come, they are trained in the garage, they have contract with employers, they train as they also join partially, they go to the school system. They have on-job training and off-the-job training. So this one fits very well. The combination now has come. The intersection, like in mathematics now, is DIT for both the school system and then the other system.
Okay, all right. And so currently, what are the challenges that are being faced, both on, I'll start with DIT side. What are the challenges that you're facing?
Thank you very much. The challenges, one, information. Many people don't know DIT. They don't know what we do. So that is why we are trying to educate the public on what we do and what is it. Then some people, they also misunderstand. The vocational, you take it to be technical drawing, metal work and whatever. And they say we don't have money to buy tools, to buy equipment, because vocation is expensive. Even the training is also what? Expensive.
Because it's hands-on.
It is hands-on. Even the assessment by DIT is also expensive. The people who assess you are the ones. So there is a challenge of what? Of funding also.
Okay. In terms of expenses, you say that the private sector has subscribed more to the vocational studies than you've had it in the public. Now, in terms of the expense that comes with these vocational studies, what has been their stake in it and their challenges?
The expense is part of the curriculum because there is a menu to be delivered and the curriculum has changed. It is like a policy in the entire country. You cannot implement an old curriculum. You have to implement a new curriculum. For government USE students, like for DIT, for USE candidates, they have already provided the budget for us for assessing those learners. Then for the private, you have to meet the assessment cost. But ours, we are not worried. Those students, unless if you are not an entrepreneur and you engage in those activities of agriculture, you can even pay your assessment fee because you are hands-on. You are doing work. When you go to schools like Mbarara High School, in Mbarara, they make their own beds, they make their own furniture, they can even fabricate doors and whatever, and they even sell. So there is internal what? Saving. You go to schools in Kampala, I think there is Emma High School. We saw it. It has a rabbit program. The children rear rabbits. Those rabbits are marketable. They are easier. And they produce many in a short time. So we are not worried. The children can even meet their own what? Cost, because we are preparing them to be entrepreneurs. Okay. Not only looking for jobs, but also creating
their own jobs.
Definitely.
With what is around them. Okay, that's very interesting. Now, in terms of assessment, walk us through what is the process of assessment, and for a private entity, at what cost does it come to?
Assessment is the DIT assessment. The person assessing you should be the one knowing. If you are a tailor, then the one assessing you should also be
a tailor. Okay.
The person watches the process as he gives you marks, and then he also watches the final product. If the assessment is to make a dress and you fail to make it, then you have not what? You have not passed. If you know, we assess wonderful saloons like a Sparkle Saloon. So DIT is the one which, if your target, the assessment is to make a woman beautiful and you don't do it, then you have not what? Passed. So that is the assessment. It is interesting. It is hands-on. There is no cheating. You even go for break. The exam is known. Even if it is given you the other day, you can, if you don't know, you cannot pass that
That's true.
that exam.
Okay. All right. So now we do have the current arts teachers strike. Isn't that affecting the sustainability, especially for vocational studies right now?
Vocation is a science.
Is it?
But also the arts teacher can become scientist. Because if you are an arts teacher, it does not prevent you to learn tailoring. If you are an arts teacher, it does not prevent you from learning hairdressing. So once you become a professional, a vocation is also regarded as what? As sciences.
Well, now you have brought a lot of questions. Someone is asking, how is carpentry actually a science? So I'll turn the question to you. How is carpentry a science? Since it's a vocational study.
What is science? You transform a product into a new one. That is science. So those who have, the countries which have developed, they embrace science and technology.
Right.
What is technology? So vocation is a science. Because carpentry, if you do carpentry, where do you end? You end in civil engineering. Taking that route of carpentry, you become a civil what? Engineer.
All right.
You don't become a lawyer.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Okay, Mr. Byakatonda, in your parting shots as a director, what's your call to action?
my what?
Call to action.
Thank you very much. My call to action, first of all, to the institutions and the secondary schools to embrace the new lower secondary curriculum. But also the parents to embrace the lower secondary curriculum plus the student. Because here we are preparing the student for whatever can happen. And this is the way to go. This is the development. The countries which have developed, the ones we talk of, the South Korea, the Japan, they have developed the Singapore because of vocation. And they have institutions which are affiliated here in Uganda. We have Nakawa, which is a stronger DIT center. We have even at level 4, it is JICA, Japanese supported. We have Ntinda VTI. Ntinda VTI is Koika, Korea supported. Rugogo used it to be Germany supported, but I think it ended.
Okay.
So this is the way, that is the development.
Okay, all right. And in his words, this is the way and this is the road to development, inclusion of vocational studies. And Mr. Byakatonda Patrick's plea is that we be considerate and actually embrace the lower secondary curriculum that includes vocational studies. And when asked what vocational studies are, he said they are a science. And when he was asked what science is, basically transformation of something into another product or service altogether, which is pretty much what vocational studies bring to the table. And so if we have vocational studies included in the curriculum, then you're definitely going to have a better, improved labor market at the end of the day, which is going to start development at the end of the day and start Uganda into a middle income status. Now that's a good direction. So Director for Directorate of Industrial Training has given us this conversation. I know you've taken notes. Now away from that, we get into our Kickstarter, where we have to look at the realities of the matter. 6,000 shillings is where you do find the liter of diesel. Of course, now it has settled a bit. Diesel is now cheaper than petrol. But at the end of the day, the cost of fuel to this economy is a conversation Chris Igeni is coming back with.